Igbo identity must move beyond only speaking the Igbo you understand. Because some people think like even when somebody speaks the dialect, without actually speaking the central Igbo, they will say, Onya, you know that kind of thing. So
I will answer this question with a proverb that is very common amongst the Igbo people.
Okay.
And then it has been there even before the coming of the white men. And then they always say, Nibo na no, manako okwara. Now, what is that okwara? What's that? If to interpret it literally, they say that we might speak in diverse voice, but when we behave alike, right?
Yes, because now, culturally we are a little bit homogeneous in culture.
It is the cultural practices that inherent in the Igbo people. That is what makes you an Igbo man or a non-Igbo.
This is the stereotypes.
A lot of Igbo speaking communities outside the Southeast are actually denying of being Igbo. And now it becomes very important for someone to look closely who an Igbo is.
An Igbo person is not merely a man who identifies himself as being Igbo.
Culturally or...
Igbo-ness is a way of life. Igbo-ness is a pattern of relativism with the attributes of Ndibo, that is the ancient dwellers of the current land in which we inhabit. Yes. And then also people who share the same cultural affinity.
Especially, and then thank God you said cultural affinity without actually the language, because if you check our community composition, now a lot of the dialects within the Southeast, I would say some of them are not mutually intelligible. Let me say 10% intelligible, which that no one makes some people think sometimes that this thing is like they talk about Abakaliki, some part of Nsukka, and then we go to the people who are not even within the Southeast, saying they are totally not Igbos.
Now, you can't blame them, Chukuma, and then I've reiterated this fact, or I've overemphasized it in some of our other podcast episodes. We have a multi-variation of the Igbo dialect that sometimes one begin to ask himself the question, are these people really related? It takes you a closer attention. In fact, you need to pay closer attention to what a certain group of Ndibo or a certain group of Ndibo is saying, so that you can understand what they're saying. And then you can understand them, or you can pick words or wordings from what they're saying, because you yourself, you are Igbo, or you have a knowledge of Igbo-ness. All right, for you to be able to pick them. Because when you look at Igbo language as it is currently composed, or you look at Igbo dialect, let me know it, because we have the central Igbo now,
and then the other smaller dialects.
Yes, which is a composition of the effort of the white Christian missionaries to actually bring a uniformism among the diverse Igbo dialects. Talking about the Igbo dialectically, you see that when the Nkanu man speaks, it's sometimes either it might be very funny for a man from Ohafia, or that when someone from Abakaliki speaks, it might be very funny for a man from Abaja. Or when an Arochukwu man speaks, it might sound very, somewhat odd from a man from Nsukka. All right? But when you pay closer attention to what he's saying, it is mutually intelligible.
Yes. That aside our languages, and that thing that no ethnic group is homogeneous in terms of language. Even the Chinese, Yorubas, even the Hausas, even English they speak abroad most times. Well, like if you go to the US, they all speak the same English. But the black guys, guys from the south, when they talk.
Now you don't know that there is a French influence in the English language we speak today. And then there is the German influence in the English we speak today, and then vice versa. Now, when you for instance, when you use the word déjà vu is a French word. Yeah. When you use the word VP répondez s'il vous plaît, is also a French word. You can come if it pleases you. So now, no culture, like I've said, no culture is mutually exclusive. Yes. Now, sometimes they are very interwoven. But I can always tell you, just unlike what the Ikwerre people always say, that a lot of them spoke Igbo because of intermarriage. Now I tell you, it's a fallacy.
Yeah, but somehow somehow they may be correct. Like some other Igbo speaking communities outside the southeast. Now, like you said, you rightly mentioned in the other episode that they have element of truth in what they are saying.
Yes,
a lot of them may not actually be Igbo.
Yes.
There may be other people within the community who have migrated into that place, maybe from Benin or even from the Ijaw side.
Yes.
But when they are in the minority, maybe the Igbo other ones will come to actually erode most of those their cultures.
A woman is not an absolute carrier of language across the borders. They can carry some element of her culture across that border, but not the absolute knowledge. Because if there were people maybe in Ikwerre land who spoke a different language apart from the one that is pendant or currently existent, then the woman will rather be assimilated into that language. And then the children, because this nature-nurture relationship exposes you to actually learn what is found around your immediate environment, primarily. All right.
Now, if you say who is an Igbo to you, because now, from what you're explaining now, it means like, apart from the language, you couldn't say that the language is homogeneous. So, apart from the language, the Igbo identity must move beyond only speaking Igbo you understand. Because some people think like even when somebody speaks the dialect, without actually speaking the Central Igbo, they will say, you know, that kind of thing. So
I will answer this question with a proverb that is very common amongst the Igbo people.
Okay.
And then it has been there even before the coming of the white men. And then they always say, Nibo na no, now, what is that Okwara? What's that? If to interpret it literally, they say that we might speak in diverse voice, but when we behave alike, right?
Yes, because now, culturally we are a little bit homogeneous in culture.
It is the cultural practices that inherent in the Igbo people. That is what makes you an Igbo man or a non-Igbo. Now, how many market days do you have?
4.
Do you believe in the existence of Chukwu Okike Abiam as the Almighty Creator? Do you believe in Ayam? Do you believe in life after life? That is reincarnation.
And that's central in almost all the Igbo communities.
Now, yes, these are very pendant cultural practices that is believed. A woman cannot transmit this sort of culture because it's a culture that goes from the man to the children. All right? Not from the woman. Now, because if you know in Igbo culture, the 18 goddess that we call Allah. All right? Allah is the almighty deity in Igbo, across all Igbo communities. All right? Apart from Chukwu Okike Abiama. And you know that Allah is a female goddess. Okay? It is the god of productivity and fertility. Yeah. All right? Now, if you have this sort of culture that is, and you call it the same name, and you know the Igbo people also believe in Anyang, and then so many other emotive variation of other gods, and then it's the way it exists in this community is the similar way it exists in the other one, and then you are not telling us, you're coming to tell us that you're not Igbo, and then you have something to check.
If somebody says it's not Igbo, from this broader definition of, like from what you're saying,
you
somebody says
you can be Igbo. You can be Igbo, but you don't feel like Igbo.
No, like somebody who can be, you don't feel like somebody can identify with this. Some people have, like the guys in Delta, the Eno and the guys. Some of them claim that, some part of it claim that they came from, which could be true historically. They claim they came from Benin side. Some other guys came from the Igbo side. People from Onitsha
are from Benin.
Or some historians will say they had serious interaction with the Benin kingdom.
Now, it will shock you or believe it or not. The land currently called Onitsha had original inhabitants in Onitsha land. In this land you call Onitsha, before those who migrated from Benin came and encountered them. But they are maybe probably because of the the number of people who came across, they might have subsumed
the other one.
The Benin influence. You see it? Understand what I'm saying. Now, these people migrated from Benin, and then they came to Onitsha. Rather than speaking Ishan or Bini, they speak Igbo.
But
currently still speak Igbo.
But
they practice the some elements of the Benin culture.
Yeah.
Now, the Ikwerre people, if they had married the Igbo people, and then the Igbo women had come in, and then all children, their children will speak a language that is relatively unknown to the rest of the Igbo people.
Why?
Yes, because the dominant language will subsume whatsoever influence you might have. And then I ask you another question. How many women, Igbo women, did the Ikwerre people marry?
Now that's left to them to answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's left to Ikwerre people to answer, because it's a very complicated matter when you talk about this Ikwerre. But I don't want to dwell on Ikwerre alone, because there are other ones who also don't actually see themselves as Igbo. But there are a lot of people within that place who see themselves as Igbo.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And I had this thought yesterday. I said, if the Ikwerres were within the Igbo geographical location called Southeast, they would never deny it.
No, they wouldn't deny it, but by divine providence, they found themselves in River State that is rich in oil.
Yes.
A lot of them see the Igbo people as thieves and rogues. So they will try as much as possible to deny you, so you don't claim right over the natural resources they have. But if you also look at another city that is not Ikwerre, you look at Eche.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Eche is an Igbo community too. I think there are boundaries between Abia and then River State, right? Now, it's an Igbo community. They don't deny it. They bear the Igbo name. And then you have Eche there, you have Eche the other side. So they know. Assuming the whole of Eche people and identity fell under River State, they might have plausible reasons to deny their Igbo-ness. But I don't blame those who deny it due to what they feel is dialectical difference. It's just like Nwa Diallo or who is always on Twitter gallivanting around and propagating the anti-Igbo ideology. Now, he called someone Ogume Agana. Ovume. Now, one of the comments I dropped for him, I told him that in my own dialect, I don't know what it means in your dialect, absolutely. But in my own dialect, what it means is a chameleon.
Yeah.
All right? Now, in my own dialect, we call it Ogumaga. And then there is another element of people within the Nkano clan who calls it also Ofumaga. The same way he wrote them. So, dialects does not distinguish or does not take away the fact that you belong to a particular group. We have a lot of them. We have the Umuahia. We have the Oka people, all right? Now, but when the Christian missionaries, in their quest to actually try to take the gospel, or what they call the gospel of the Lord, to those in the Igbo hinterland, they try to galvanize or centralize the Igbo language. And that's
what brought...
Yes, that was what brought about the ideology of the Central Igbo. The Central Igbo is born from Umuahia, and then Owerri.
Where it was.
It
was actually the main place where
it was between Umuahia and Owerri. And now, if you read the first Igbo manuscript that were ever written, if you are someone who is able to read and understand Igbo, if you read the first manuscript that was written by these people, you will not be even able to understand or read a meaning into what they were saying, except you take some extra caution and passion.
Like what you're saying now is that being an Igbo goes beyond just living within the same geographical location and speaking. That is about industry, is about hospitality, is about a way of life, is about this ingenuity, is about looking out for your brother, because as Igbo,
that is the core principle of the major fiber on which the Igbo community is built. Yes. It's just like when you go to Equatorial Guinea, the people of Beku, cannot claim not to be Igbo because the founders of Beku or the founding fathers of Beku were from Igbo extraction. And then they went to Beku. And then you do not tell me that when they arrived at Beku, either as merchants or as slave traders, that there were no original inhabitants of Beku. And now you go to Beku, they speak another dialect of Igbo, which you need to pay close attention to understand. So then I will tell an average Ikwerre man that the Ikwerre land is an offshoot of what you have in Beku, because probably in their mission towards Beku, some of them who were tired even dropped off.
This Igbo identity is very, very cool because of a lot of things, Christianity, Western culture, and traveling. A lot of the young guys, it's just identity crisis. It's just something.
Well,
in trying to capture who an Igbo person is, there's a kind of resistance towards that. I'm seeing some of our people who are doing very fine.
Now you are being very mild about it. When you are talking about Igbo and the identity of Igbo people, there are two sets of people. There are those who have the superiority complex, and then there are those who have inferiority complex. They don't want to identify as Igbo, so as not to take the blames that is being accrued to the Igbo or that is being issued to the Igbo people. And then those who have superiority complex are those who feel that probably one way or the other that they are the superior Igbo. They are those that without them the Igbo tribe is incomplete. And then you have those who are the know-nothings. The know-nothings are those who really do not know the history of their origin. They are confused. They are neither here nor there. And then I tell you that this is where a lot of over 40% of the Ikwerre and then some of others who do not live within the southeast fall into.
Yes, you must give it to them. Like Osta Chidoka said, when somebody says it's not an Igbo, we must take it as an Igbo.
Now, when your father bears a son, and then the son of your father refuses, grows up, and then they says that he's not from your village and that he's from his wife's village. Do you not see him as Oyefulefu?
No, we can, maybe biologically, you can say that should be my brother. We're the same brother. But maybe politically or now, let's say geopolitically.
Listen, be it as it may. That is how I say it. And now, this is where you belong to. You denying where you are from is like living in self-denial.
Yes, and some people are doing it knowingly and some are doing it unknowingly. Because if, we can look at this in 4 different ways. Pre-colonial, colonial, the Civil War, and the post-colonial. Because these things affect the psyche of all these people explaining.
Now, if you...
Pre-colonial, some of them saw themselves as one of those ethnic groups, the way other Igbo groups
we did not know what ethnic groups were.
I'm talking about communities. Like they saw themselves as an independent community.
I'm coming. During the pre-colonial era, especially some of these problems were caused by the Arrows, who went into the hinterland and then were conquering slaves before colonial period.
Yes.
Now, because of a need for a resistance, some group of villages formed themselves into blocks. Now,
spanning over 2, 3, 4, 5 villages.
Yes,
together.
Sometimes 15, up to 15. And then you see them. That is why you see blocks like the Agbaja clan. You see the Nkano clan. These were people who were aimed at a massive resistance. Then I tell you, for instance, if you come to Enugu, you see the family of maybe Gilbert and Naji, who were originally people from Arochukwu. All right? And then they came, and now they've settled here in Enugu State. Now you can't chase them away. Now, when you're talking about the politics of Nkano people, will you tell me that the family of Gilbert and Naji will be denied of their right because they are from Arochukwu? Already they've become sons of the soil. All right? They are jus solis and jus sanguis Nkano people. And so many other examples are cut across Igbo land. All right? So if somebody decides to live in self-denial, it's their business. Now, when you talk about the colonial period, a lot of other things exist too. All right? Now, what a person like, what's this guy who is about embarking on the Igbo unification agenda? The guy they call Nnamen, right? Now, in all the communities he has visited, including Ikwerre, they believe and they understand that the Ikwerre people are truly Igbo